What is going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. My name is Matthew Spear. I'm the host of Don't Unfriend Me. The Dan Bongino effect is in full effect. Last night on the live show, actually the night before, I was talking about Russell Brand, and I was asking people, hey, just let's wait a little bit. We don't know. It's like Bill Cosby. You know, we heard one or two, and everyone's like, oh, no, that's Dr. Huxtable. There's no way he did these bad things. And then like 90 some odd women came out later, and everyone's like, oh, okay, well, wait a second. I guess we were wrong. I think it's important. The fog of war is thick. And whether I was working in intelligence, I've always had this, and it doesn't surprise me that Dan Bongino follows the same suit, is because he's government trained, Secret Service, he's a police officer, and working in intel was the same way. Wait for the fog of war to clear. Don't make speculative arguments. Wait for all the information to come in. And when you get exculpatory evidence, you can start making, speculative analysis. And you can say that. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, listen, this is some guesswork. I'm just using my experience over the years to go ahead and make some predictions here. Or you can actually say, well, I've got some evidence and proof. So me focused on the things that I know about the F-35 and the things that I know about the government, the things that I know about basic SOP, it leads me to believe that I've got a fairly good idea of what happened. But a lot of people are flipping out. They're saying it's in Ukraine, it's in Cuba, Joe Biden traded it, it's a distraction, Hunter Biden stole it. I mean, come on, people. There's so many different things. Let's go ahead and try to put those to bed and just focus on what we know versus what we don't. And that usually can lead us to a fairly simplistic understanding of what happened. This is the F-35. This is the F-30 Lightning II. Now, there are quite a few versions of the F-35, and the same company that makes the F-22 makes the F-35 as well. The Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie versions of this ultimately change a few things. Sometimes it's how many people can be in the cockpit tandem, weapon arsenal, overall fuel capacity, range, overall top speed, whatever it may be, or mission profile. You can get a different Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo rating on that weapon system over time. And the FA-18 is a perfect example of this, which became a air and ground assault weapon system for the United States Navy, Marine Corps, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the F-35, what makes it unique? Its landing profile. There's a few systems that I can't go into that has the ability to do things that Russian technology used to do, especially in the MiG-29 and the MiG-31 and the 27. But you're looking at the way that this overall dogfights is second to none. This is a fifth generation fighter, and the big thing about it is its over-the-horizon targeting capabilities. Now, there's an old video you can find on YouTube of a bunch of F-15 Strike Eagles, which were considered to be one of the best fighters, along with the 16, and then depending upon, which dogfight you're actually in or which overall mission you're trying to accomplish, the 16 and 15 were two fantastic fighters and state-of-the-art at the time. But the F-15, the squadron of them went up, and they were going to go ahead and dogfight with the F-35. Now, with the capability from the F-35's over-the-horizon targeting from 500 miles away, lit up the entire squadron of these F-15s before they even knew what happened and what hit them. They didn't even see it on radar once. They didn't even know the exercise had begun. So if you want to go ahead and say that this thing is a 10-to-1 ratio fighter, it most certainly is. And it uses its stealth capability to create anonymity in the skies and then go ahead and do its mission with lethality and with effectiveness without people even knowing it's there. That's the key about this thing. Now, with all these amazing bells and whistles, $1.7 trillion, $80 to $100 million a piece, what can go wrong? Well, a whole bunch of stuff, especially when you're paying at the lowest dollar for all of these parts for this weapon system. And as we know, the more complexity in things, whether it be a coffee pot or a vacuum cleaner, the more things that can go wrong. And that's usually the way it works. But this F-35, how can it be lost? I think that's what everyone asks. Now, planes usually have a couple of things. One is their profile. Air traffic controllers will have these things on lock. And until it goes splat, you're going to go ahead and have a speed reading, an altimeter reading, and a location GPS almost to the nth degree, to an inch or two of where that thing drops. You're going to know what happened to that plane. You've seen me do several shows on on planes that have been lost. There was a Learjet that went up through DC airspace and came back. You remember I did that show a few months ago. But with the F-35, it's a little bit different. And the mission that they were running is what's considered to be a civilian air patrol or a CAP mission, usually done by Air National Guard, but occasionally can be done by Air Force or Marine Corps. Most major airports have a CAP patrol going. They are a tandem force, maybe an F-16, F-15, some points even F-A-18 if it's near a naval air station. Whatever that may be, they have a job to do, which is to protect the skies over a area which is secure. And depending upon the threat level, depending upon the situational awareness and global situations, you will see these things scrambled all over major cities depending upon the day and time. Usually around 9/11, you'll see them often. Now, how do you lose an F-35? And why are you using an F-35, an $80 to $100 million fighter, two of them, to run CAP patrol? Well, we'll go into that in a second because that's one of the questions we need answered. But I want to give you a firsthand account of this gentleman who happened to see this and hear this. And this is probably one of the best things you're going to hear all day. Everyone has a friend like this. Actually, this is Randolph White, but I have a good friend, Troy White, who's 35 years old, who talks just like this. An amazing guy from Houston, Texas. Anyway, take a listen, and this is pretty funny.
Normally, it's pretty quiet, but on Sunday afternoon,
I was in the bathroom taking a shave.
I was in the bathroom shaving too. I was in the bathroom taking a shave. Trust me, no man takes a shave. We take something else and then we just go ahead and shave. Gotta love it. Already off to a great start. Now, like Dan Bongino had this and he thought this was comedy. I swear, I had to run it through several different channels. I thought it was AI. I thought it was some comic skit. I just thought it was something from SNL. It's actually true. And this guy's real. Here he is.
And I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White says he didn't.
You got to love it. And it kind of sounds like this. Listen to this. You're like, Matt, that's exactly what it is. You just played the same thing over. No, I didn't. This is from the old Screaming Goat video that all of us know that went viral. Here it is. And this isn't dubbed. This is actually real, too. This isn't AI. This isn't somebody dubbing it. I didn't take that guy's voice and put it over here. This is real. Go to YouTube and you can listen to it. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. I swear. I'll dub it over again in editing so you guys can hear it. But really, when the F-35, it's turbine. Now, depending upon the fuselage and altitude, Doppler effect, it's going to make different sounds, especially if it's in the air. But this is the windup of this engine, and then you're going to hear it at full joy here in just a second. I don't think we're going to get afterburner levels, but you can hear it's a loud engine. Now, I don't know if it's a screaming goat, but here we are, full joy. It's actually going to open up. I just realized that and later in the video, and you can see that as the fins of the turbine kick out and the engine exhaust come out, you can see the bluish purple flame, which is extreme heat, narrowing that overall that overall propulsion and expanding it and giving you afterburner stasis. Watch this. Now, I promise you this, that F-35 was not opened up with full afterburners, but it brings back the question is how do you lose an F-35? And then we also understand why Mr. Randolph White made it sound like the screaming goat, because it is extremely loud. Anybody who's been on a deck, anybody who's been to any Air Force base or done any time with VF Squadron understands that. The thing that, in order to get that answer that I want to kind of show you is something you haven't heard. In fact, I'm fairly confident you haven't, which is the air traffic controller conversation coming out of South Carolina to the base authorities and recovery teams, and also notifying. You're going to hear some squawk in the beginning of this, which is the classification of the audio. It'll give you location of caller, time, date stamp, whatever. That's for cataloging purposes. And then the voices will come on. It's important enough to show it to you because I think it's going to help us understand this story where people are very upset. They're like, is it in Cuba? Is it in Ukraine? Was it given to Zelensky when he came here? Or Zelensky when he came here yesterday? Folks, relax. This is going to kind of explain the whole weather phenomenon where people are saying, wait a second, how did this pilot pop and eject due to weather? We'll go into that in a second. Here is the video. Listen to this.
Medicaid, engine 210, 6938 South Kenwood Drive, cross streets, Merwood Avenue and Midland Park Road, Fall. Delta response, incident 10 EMS off, 1342.
Drill 3 calling 210. Calling 210. Disregard our reading, somebody knows we're coming.
All units responding Aviation Avenue, switch to incident 10.
210 dispatch.
Go ahead.
We got patient contact. Appears Cat 3. He solo pilot. We're trying to get more information now.
Copy, 1347. Engine 210.
FPD respond to this address. The adjacent sheet and parachute is in the backyard. We gotta have to secure this.
Dispatch copy, 1348.
So what you're hearing is when you talk about engine, they're contacting fire department, they're contacting dispatch, they're bringing multiple calls in to secure the area. Ultimately, why? Because it is a military fighter. They understand it's a crash. FAA is going to get involved. They're going to have OSE get involved. There's going to be plenty of alphabet agencies which are going to want to lock this down immediately. Now, it would lead you to believe, and you would ask the question, is why are people in administrations and also in the military, in the Marine Corps, asking for help to find this? I will explain that in a second. Hopefully I remember to do that. But just listen to this, because everyone was like, well, why are they, if they don't know where it's at, why are they asking for help? I'm going to try to go into that too. Listen to this.
210 dispatch. I spoke to the pilot. He's unsure of where his plane crashed. Said he just lost it in the weather.
I copy, 1348.
Dispatch, engine 902 is responding. Coming my way.
Copy, engine 9.
210 is 110. 210 dispatch.
2-3.
He's down to South Kenwood with EMS. I'll have Kenwood come in.
I copy. Kenwood come in. You're clear for EMS ops.
210 dispatch.
10.
Copy this location for me. It's going to be a bearing of 330. 10 miles out from runway 15. Runway 15.
Copy. 10 miles out from runway 15.
That's fine.
Copy. And I'm just getting the call over on the channel now. I'm just making sure you want to do a search, or what are we requesting?
210 Delta 4. 210 Delta 4.
210.
I'm going to give you a call on yourself. You have it on you.
All right, you give me 21.
Copy, dispatch. We'll advise in just a second.
Copy. Thank you.
Dispatch Delta 4.
Hi.
I know we've been in contact now that you call us, but can we make sure for the county, especially in line 49, is that it's not?
Copy. We called to see if they had any reports of it, but we'll call and give them the update.
Copy. Were you ever able to get in touch with the EMD?
I did not. I was on the phone with the charge nurse. I will try again.
I'll handle it. Thank you.
Copy. Thank you.
210 dispatch.
Go ahead.
What's the destination to EMS? Who are they transporting?
MUSC.
Copy. You got a representative from Joint Base Charleston on scene as well.
Copy.
Dispatch Delta 4.
Delta 4.
Yes, and the EMD duty officer has been advised.
Copy. Thank you.
Dispatch Agent 210, I'm going to have you transfer over to 4, please.
Command dispatch.
All right, so there's a lot there and a lot to take in. So let me give you the high level of this whole thing. So you've got emergency response being notified. You've got air traffic control from South Carolina. You've got the airport involved, and you've also got Joint Base being notified and the security officer. So Joint Base is right next to the major airport, and they were saying it was 2 miles out from where they lost contact with this plane. Now, it's really important to understand is why would they ask for help? And that's what everyone was wondering. Why are they asking for help? Don't they know where it is? Well, here's the thing. If this is running mission, right? So it's doing a job. It's going to run under stealth. And this is a training exercise more than anything to do exactly what I said, which was, doing cap patrols. But if they're going ahead and flying in pattern, they're going to be stealth. And when they are, there's something called IFF. It's Identify Friendly Foe. It allows localized radar to identify civilian aircraft, military aircraft. But more importantly, when military aircraft engage an enemy or friendly friends, right? You want to have IFF so you're not throwing a sidewinder up somebody's ass who happens to be a buddy of yours. So IFF will let people know, but when you're running stealth, that's completely turned off. And then also RAM material on this weapon system makes it extremely difficult to pick up, and other technologies that I can't go into and all that other stuff. But on radar, it is extremely difficult to pick up, especially when you're talking about air traffic control or normal type radar systems. These countermeasures are designed to make this thing virtually invisible. So when you have a situation where a pilot, where a lot of people are saying, okay, the system was hacked, or he accidentally pushed a button, or it malfunctioned, or the last thing this guy's going to do is say, well, let me go ahead and flip this out. Let me take it out of stealth mode. Let me go ahead and start squawking on my IFF. And okay, now I can get out. But if it's a situation where he has got to get out quickly, obviously that thing is going to remain in stealth mode, and it's going to be impossible if you don't have visual sight of where it went down. Now, coupled with the fact that there was a lot of other things that happened that day, let's go ahead and take a look at the wreckage real quick, just so everyone has a picture of this and they understand what we're looking at. This is from Daily Mail, which takes a drone shot of the area in the woods. So we actually have a crash that took place. You can see scorch marks. You can see everything else that happens. But what you don't see is huge amounts of fire or scorched earth, and we can go into that in a second. We look at the crash itself. You're seeing that Joint Base Charleston is right down here in the lower quadrant of the photo. Pilot ejects about 2 to 10 miles, depending upon, if you listen to the air traffic controller, they say 2 miles in most of the news reports, but on the actual ATC audio you just heard, they said 10 miles north, and that would be indicative of this graphic. And then 80 miles away from there is the crash site. You can see the picture, and you can see some burn marks and some scorch marks on the outside there where some grass is burned. And then, of course, the F-35 information there. If you wanted to know some of the things I already mentioned about its capabilities and what it can do. Now, flying the speed that it was flying in, there's something we need to understand that's nobody's talking about, and I want to talk about it with you. One of the technologies is called the OBIGs. Now, this gets a little complicated. I am not anybody who has a degree in this. I am not an engineer. Aerodynamics is not my skill set. I am not a master at this, but there's some basic things I do know. And the onboard inert gas generating system, which is known as OBIGs, it's really simple. All it does is take oxygen out of the ambient air, and it creates nitrogen-enriched air, which helps the fuel tanks. It's great for high altitude. It's great for not freezing up. And by having that nitrogen in there, it allows it to hit top speeds at a lower yield and consumption of fuel than most other engines. So the only problem with the OBIG system is during that process of pumping the nitrogen-enriched air into the fuel tanks, like I mentioned, it prevents the aircraft from exploding if it is struck by lightning. The F-35 B and C variants had some of the same OBIGs issues as the F-35, which is that they could not fly close to any lightning storms or fly during lightning storms, thunderstorms. In particular, the Alpha and the Bravo model both were within 25 miles of any major discharge of lightning or storms, and the C had a little bit of a closer proximity, but any type of major lightning or any type of discharge from electric means by lightning would ultimately interrupt the engine's capabilities. Now, if that took place, and if it also impacted electronics, which would be a secondary system that is absolutely critical to maintaining hydraulics, maintaining propulsion, and overall flight, this would make the vehicle inert. If this happens, there is a system on the F-35 which makes it extremely reliable. Now, there are several ways to eject from a plane. You have the pull-down canopy, which is pull the hood down on both ropes. You may have seen this in the F-14. You may have seen this in the F-4, had a manual lever on the side that you would pull up on the F-4 Phantom, F-4E2, etc., the Wild Weasel. Then you will have manual switching, which allows you to do that. But then there are certain situations, especially in the F-35, due to the mechanical failures that can take place, where there will be auto eject that takes place. Now, a lot of people thought this is where the hacking from China would happen, where somebody hacked it, somebody went ahead and ejected the pilot, and then flew it and then crashed it. Now, this is ridiculous. This is ultimately what took place. There was severe inclement weather. I have the reports right here that you can see. Massive thunderstorms in the area. You have to ask the question, why are they flying it knowing that these problems happen? There's been several crashes over the F-35 and F-22's life that have happened due to severe weather. So when you hear this, the first reaction, especially from Bongino, is Dan's like, okay, I want you to imagine you're on a civilian aircraft. You're flying at, 15,000 feet. You're coming in on approach, and then you see the pilot in the front, and he's got, a parachute on, and he's putting his goggles on, and he's like, well, folks, I'm out of here. And everybody's like, where are you going? You're the pilot. And he's like, hey, folks, we got some bad weather coming up. I'm going to go ahead and eject from the plane. It's in extreme circumstances, and it offers comedic value, but really, those planes are built completely different. And there has been, decades of studies of why we don't fly through thunderstorms, and no pilot wants to fly through thunderstorms is because of situations like this. And just because it is a multi-million-dollar aircraft and it is an extremely advanced aircraft, a lot of countries don't fly in several conditions. They don't fly over water. They don't fly over at night, and they don't fly in bad weather. And this is Iran, Iraq, Egypt. You can go into Libya. You can go into pretty much every major air force outside of superpowers. Most of them don't fly at night. In fact, the Israelis didn't start doing that until the 80s. And the reason why is because it is extremely difficult to understand how to fly in circumstances that are absolutely not perfect. It takes a lot of training. It takes a lot of hours on the yoke, and any pilot will tell you it's different flying at night, it's different flying in bad weather, and it's different flying over water because of the horizon. So now that I went through all of those things, the question is what happened? Did it actually crash due to weather? I don't know. And I can't answer that question for you, but what I can tell you is what the pilot said. And the pilot repeatedly said that I went ahead and ejected based upon the weather. Now, it's very simple for people to flip out over that and say, well, how can that happen? Well, I just explained it to you. This is a known issue in the F-35, and if there were severe lightning storms, it would lead you to believe that the system actually failed on the turbine. It lost propulsion. At that point, it was only at 1,000 feet. It was moving at a few hundred miles an hour. That decision to eject was not left to the pilot, based upon the fact that they said it was inverted about 100 feet off the canopy of trees. Leads you to believe that before that happened, that is a full system failure. You have no control. It's a dead stick, and the computer systems popped the pilot, or he initiated it in a split second once the plane told him to eject. That's what's great about the F-35 is it has autonomous systems that will protect the pilot or take over if there is catastrophic failure, if it can. If it can't, pilot is going to be popped, and this is the situation we have. What happened to the second pilot who was with him, his buddy? Obviously, he lost the plane in inclement weather. The plane continued for 60 miles. At that speed, that would mean about anywhere from 52 seconds to 63 seconds of flight time. It's not unheard of. Why is it flying by itself? Well, there's other systems in the F-35 that I can't go ahead and talk about, but I will tell you it asks the question, if it flew for an additional 1 minute, why was the ejection and why did it happen? Was it a situation there was a major lightning strike, the pilot overreacted? Well, that is going to be decided by the investigators and in conversations. But the big thing that we have to understand is there was lightning in the area. The F-35 is susceptible to it. And the ironic piece about this whole conversation is it's actually named the F-35 Lightning. And you have to ask yourself the question, Is that ironic or fortuitous? I don't know. But thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. A long explanation for an extremely complicated situation. What do you think? Am I crazy? Am I nuts? Or can you actually look up the things I said and verify it as fact? It's up to you. Thanks for watching tonight. I'll see you live. It's Red Friday. Remember, everyone deployed. We will be back tonight at 8 o'clock with Olivia, myself, and Amy. Please join us. We love having you. And stop by The Dumb Show, thedumbshow.com, and pick yourself up a shirt, a hat, or something cool. Good night. Talk to you at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the Army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.